Welcome to RetroLogic. I'm Dan Caparello here with John Cummins. And this week we have very special guest, Flynn, here to talk to us about some Mario vs. Donkey Kong, some limited run goodness on pre-order, and we're going to do a deep dive into Twilight Princess because I had to pick a game that, Flynn, you could talk about at length without any research. And then you did more research, so I feel like it's going to be a good conversation. So, Flynn, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for inviting me on the show. This is my first ever podcast. I'm very excited.
That's right. It's your podcast debut, and you chose us, which I feel very honored. I feel so honored.
I am the honored one.
We're just honored all around.
So much honor.
Good. Speaking of honor, John, you look tired, but you're probably not as tired as you look. Tell me about it.
I am tired. It just comes with the lifestyle. I'm doing great right now.
You're a dad to many. You're a dad of 4, and you are a dad to an entire Discord full of retro gamers. So you've got a lot going on.
Yeah, trying to keep everybody up in the Discord for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Good. Well, I just want to let you know that RetroLogic isn't just a podcast. It's also a retro game store. You can visit retrologic.games to check out our growing inventory of clean, tested, and authentic retro games, and now featuring merch. We've got awesome, super comfy shirts. We've got pins, and we have stickers. And I'm hype about them, and you should go get one because love and life. Let's jump into our icebreaker, you guys. And Flynn, since you're our special guest, let's chat about what you bought recently, if you added anything to your collection or not. If you just want to talk about what you've played, that is totally kosher as well. So what's going on in your collection world?
So I haven't had any pickups too recently. But as far as games go, I recently completed Castlevania 2, which was pretty exciting. We did find the graveyard duck in the end. I was in so much suspense about that duck, man. But it was a really good time. I enjoyed it overall. It was definitely a different approach to Castlevania. Now, granted, I haven't played very many. I've played 1 through 4 now. But yeah, it was pretty cool to play through that. I also recently made it through Mega Man X, which that was a game where it was my first Mega Man game, so I should preface it with that, by just getting used to the controls and just kind of like the best way to navigate through the game. But in the end, like I ended up really loving it, and it was so satisfying to like finally beat Sigma in the end and make it through. So that was a lot of fun. And currently I am playing through Legend of Zelda on the NES. So a lot of old classics recently, but it's been a lot of fun.
You're pretty, I was watching your stream the other night, and you're like almost done with Legend of Zelda now, right?
I am in the 7th dungeon now. So I'm getting there, but I've heard the last few dungeons are pretty brutal. So I'm very curious to see what they throw at me. Yeah, awesome.
Yes. And you people should go watch you on stream. You're up most weeknights, right? Like,
yeah, usually I'm on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights, starting at about 10 o'clock Eastern time.
Okay.
So yeah.
Awesome. Definitely do that. Go check it out because it's really fun to watch you and just hang out with the community you've got there on Twitch. Lots of positive vibes going on. Also, you've played 3 more Castlevanias than I have now, so that's that's good.
I had to prod you to play the first one.
Oh man, yeah. John challenged me to play the first one, and I gotta tell you, it's just not my game. I was using so much rewind, and it wasn't even rewind; it was save states. But I would save state like after every screen. Because it just was such a grind for me. Such a grind.
It's pretty tough. It's so satisfying. Like the first time you knock off Dracula's head and you just see it pop across the screen and you're just like, oh, chef's kiss. So much fun.
Awesome. Okay, John, let's talk about what you got here added to your collection. You're still buying games. There's still games you don't own yet.
Yeah, I've slowed down a little bit. This is a smaller list. I picked up Castlevania Adventure for the Game Boy. This one was at a local, along with Donkey Kong Country 3 for the Super Nintendo, and Burnout for the GameCube.
Just the first one there for GameCube?
Yeah, I think the first one's the only one that's on or
1 and 2, but the
is
first one is the
two?
worst one.
I was trying to. I played one of them whenever they originally came out. And I couldn't remember which one it was. This game was like $5, so I
Yeah.
figured I'd roll the dice. If
Worth
it was
it.
the one that I played, I win.
Yeah, exactly.
I also picked up Guitar Hero Metallica for the Wii. This is kind of a sneaky. The price on this game has shot up. Like I think a complete in-box copy is almost $40 now
Wow.
for a Guitar Hero game.
Because it's Metallica? They didn't sell much or what?
I'm not sure. I've been kind of like looking around. I got rid of all my Guitar Hero and Rock Band stuff a long time ago.
As we all did. Yeah.
Yeah. Either ceased working or it just didn't have room for it anymore after I
Those
started
drums
having kids.
just stopped working. They were just dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were bad. So I think it's been about a year ago now. I bought a guitar for the Wii, the white standard Les Paul, like that comes with Guitar Hero. I think Guitar Hero 3. And slowly but surely been trying to like pick up a handful of the later games that are harder to get a hold of. And this is one I've been trying to keep an eye out for. Most loose copies go for like 20-25 bucks. And I just at the local one day and they had a copy with $12 on it. So I went ahead and snagged it up. Yeah, I got lucky. It's one it's one in a neighboring town that I don't go to very often, so they've probably had it forever. It's just sat there and they've never updated the price, but
No, because
good for me.
from experience, those Guitar Hero games nobody buys them.
Oh yeah, no.
Nobody wants them.
You couldn't give them away at a time. They're kind of like Skylanders.
And your Goodwill and your thrift stores are just full of the guitars, and they can't move them. So it's like, you know. Yep.
Like I need one now. I don't have one, but I feel like
Man,
I just need
it's
to
so
adopt
fun.
one.
Yeah. Just hang it on your wall and look at it.
Just admire it.
Yeah.
I don't think I played a Guitar Hero. Gosh, probably like 15 years.
Yeah.
It's been a really long time. It was a lot of fun though. It's great, like hang out with friends and chill and play.
The thing that's funny that I think most people forget, I was working at a Game Crazy at the time when they launched, and we had it in the little play kiosk. And so I had those songs playing in my head all the time. But the first Guitar Hero game, they had no licenses for the tracks. So it was all cover bands. And so if you go back and listen to some of those tracks, they're like so bad and so good. Like you just go on YouTube and look up Guitar Hero 1 like tracks or whatever, and you're just like, why did they do that? But it sold like gangbusters, but still, like, it's kind of crazy.
They didn't have licensing for Guitar Hero until way later. I think
The second one they had licensing.
Oh, well, the third game doesn't use any of the original music. It's still remakes.
No.
I have it on the Wii. Yeah.
Really?
I played it recently, yeah. And I know Rock Band, whenever Rock Band came out, it had all licensed music. Like, it was all original.
Yeah, maybe they started mixing it up early on. I thought the second one they had I'm not sure. Now I don't know. You made me question myself.
Well, I thought the same thing because I got the third game pretty easily. It's relatively cheap, and I played a little bit on my Wii to try out my guitar, and I noticed right off the bat, I was like, "This is not Foghat." Like,
man.
But yeah, I know that Rock Band for sure. Like when it originally came out, it had all original artists because I remember that was like their big selling deal whenever they launched it. Like, yeah, don't play the competitor. They don't have real music.
I'm gonna have to go look that up. We'll get back to everyone about that.
Yeah.
What else you got for me, John?
I also picked up Miitopia for the Switch, which I haven't even got to play yet. And then one last pickup was my PS2 that I got from Spider Shan, and the Discord finally showed up. And I've been digging into it, trying to figure out what's not working on it. And got it down to where I believe just some of the fuses are blowing on the board. So I just bought a whole new board, and we'll swap it in and see if we can't get fired up.
Sweet.
But yeah, that was I don't know. It seems more fun to tear into them and start digging around. I probably could have bought another PlayStation 2 for the money that I'll have in it in the end, but that's just the fun part of it.
Oh yeah,
And,
I totally get that.
far as what I've been playing, I'm still just digging around with Pokemon Black, beating a gym here and there as I play with my kids. And started up Subnautica for the Switch, which is not a retro game, but it's my one that I usually play a retro game and a newer game side by side. And it's definitely different. It wasn't what I was expecting. This is one of those I bought kind of blindly. I just kind of looked at the trailer and I was like, oh, this looks neat.
Mhm.
I was thinking it was going to be more of like an adventure narrative type game. It's totally a sandbox. It's like a crafting it's a Minecraft.
Oh, really?
Better graphics. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, the whole thing is crafting and stuff, but it kind of sucked me pretty early. It's pretty neat. But yeah, that's what I've been playing.
Awesome,
How
man.
about you?
Cool. So yeah, didn't have a lot of time playing this week. Just parent life, and then I go to bed early, and then I don't wake up early, and time just slips away. But we did get some pickups because my wife was in Florida, and she stopped by a retro shop, and we literally had like a Zoom call going, and she would like put the camera over the case, and I'd be like, okay, the bottom from the left up to the red one, yeah, that one, and then go over to the next case. Okay, so the one that says Rampart, get that one, and then like she went to every case. We were there for like 45 minutes on that call, picking stuff up. I didn't get like a ton of stuff. I just got a few things. I got Turrican, the first one for the Sega Genesis. I love Turrican. I need to get the flashback on Switch, but it's such a good run and gun, and it never gets any attention. So go play Turrican. I think I have two on the analog. I think it comes with the Super NT, like preloaded. On the analog has either an unreleased one or it has two, right?
I think it's two.
Okay.
I think it's for Turrican 2,
yeah. Yeah, that's an awesome game. And then Rampart for the NES, it is Tetris meets Warlords. Like, it's so weird and fun. It's the only it's the best real-time strategy game of the generation. I don't know if you can even call it that.
One.
What?
Probably the only one for NES.
I don't know, but like it's so good. So good two player versus on one screen. Like it just kind of gets the job. It's so good. I love it. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4, they had the disc only for $5, so why not? And then today I snagged a copy of Uniracers off of Mercari, which is just one of my favorite games from my childhood. This is the kind of game that, like, in a boardroom, they like, how did this game get passed? Okay, it's a side-scrolling racing game, but it's unicycles. Like, oh yeah, like people riding unicycles? No, there's nobody riding them. It's just unicycles.
It's unicycles.
Don't ask too many questions.
Yeah,
right?
it's
go
fine.
With it. Go with it.
Don't worry about it. My favorite thing as a kid, though, was you could create like a roster of unicycles, which I don't know, like the 16 or 20 unicycles, and you could change the color and stuff, and you could name them all. And so they were all like Ninja Turtle names, and then like Mario Brothers names, and like Zelda names and stuff, and in my roster. And then you could like unlock the white one, which was special somehow. Like, this is going off of memory now.
The unicorn.
It's the same kind of fun as like Tony Hawk, because it's all trick based, and like the better, like your L and R are like spin and rotate. And so you do like a fast jump, and then you do a trick, and if you land it, you get like a big speed boost, and so you go faster. And it's just like it's such a well-made like trick-based game. The closest thing I can compare to these days is something like Ollie Ollie, where it's like side scroller, trick-based, and you can play horse, or you can like do a straight through race or do a looped race, 2-player versus. I love Uniracers, and it's very cheap right now. So everybody, collectors out there, go buy Uniracers.
What console is that on?
It's on Super Nintendo. Oh, sorry, Super Nintendo. It's a first-party Super Nintendo game. Like Nintendo developed and published it. So
picked it up a couple months ago, but I haven't had a chance to jump into it yet. But I've heard really good things. It definitely seems to be a fan favorite, so I'm excited about it.
Definitely a cult classic.
Yeah,
for sure.
Sounds like a R&D 1 game that somebody built on their side time. And
well, I think
That's totally
I-
what it is.
I might be misquoting. Somebody went after them with a court case for, was it like Pixar or somebody? So it basically like halted them in their tracks and they couldn't do any more development on it. I don't have all the details, but I remember like there's definitely some legal action against that game.
I think I know what you're talking about. Like it was released, but they had to stop printing it.
Right.
Or something like that. Like there's only so many copies,
like
right? But it's not an RPG, so it's cheap on the Super Nintendo. So go figure that. But yeah,
all 7 copies.
Yeah, I'll have to look up what the sales numbers are on that. But it did not sell very well. Like why? I got it because it was bargain bin. That's how I got it when I was a kid. But it quickly became one of my favorites, and it's a really good game. So let's get that on Nintendo Switch Online. Come on, let's do it.
They've got some dandies out there right now.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's do our Price is Retro game, shall we? All right, so if this is your first time playing Price is Retro, I'm going to tell you how it goes. I'm going to give you a list of games, 4 or 5 games, and you are going to guess what the value of all of the games are in total, based on PriceCharting.com's current valuation as of today. And then John's going to do his list, Flynn's going to do her list, and at the end, whoever guesses closest to the value of the lists wins. That's pretty straightforward. No biggie. But you at home could play too, and if you beat any of our scores, I want you to @ me on Twitter, at RetroLogic Games, and I want you to say, haha, Dan, you suck, I beat you. And I'll do the We're Not Worthy GIF for you from Wayne's World. That's what I'll do. John, why don't you go first? And then we'll go Flynn, and then we'll go me. So John, go ahead and list off your games.
I put together a last minute list that kind of ties into this our guest today. So you guys might enjoy this, and it might be a brain teaser. We'll see. So the first game is Zelda Twilight Princess for the GameCube Complete, which I know our guest ought to know how much this costs.
I didn't look it up. Oh, no.
The second game on the list is Zelda Twilight Princess for the Wii Complete. The third game is the Zelda Twilight Princess preview trailer for the DS on cartridge complete.
You jerk. Zelda, the DS preview cartridge?
Yeah, they put out a preview cartridge. It was similar to like the Metroid Prime Hunters.
Yeah, and it had like a video on it, right? Or something.
Had a video, yeah.
Okay, I had that. But these days, who knows, man? Jeez. All right.
And then the last game on my list is Zelda Twilight Princess HD for the Wii U Complete. Okay. And this is the disc only, not the Amiibo bundle.
Okay, bless your heart. Okay.
All right.
So let me do some quick math here. All right. I have a number. Flynn, do you have a number?
I have a number.
All right. Okay. I'll go first. My number is $290. Go ahead, Flynn.
Mine was $315.
Oh, okay. We're in the ballpark. We're in the same ballpark. John, what's the total there? Give us the breakdown first, then we'll do total. We'll do it that way.
Okay. So the first game, Zelda Twilight Princess for the GameCube Complete, is a $115 game. Zelda Twilight Princess for the Wii Complete is a $15 game.
Quite a difference there.
Yes.
Yeah, no doubt.
The Zelda Twilight Princess preview trailer for the DS on cartridge complete, which is a little cardboard packet.
Oh my gosh.
$727.
Oh my gosh.
I was gonna tell you if you had it, you probably should have held on to it because even loose, it's like $550.
Holy. Ooh-wee.
So you probably
Dude,
threw
what
that dude in
the
the trash
heck?
after you watched the trailer.
Do you know how many of those things I threw away at Game Crazy?
Oh, I'm telling you, yeah. They're
I know,
high
I
now.
definitely had one, but how much is, okay, okay, just finish your thing. I have questions now.
And then Zelda Twilight Princess HD for the Wii U Complete is $77.
Okay.
And it comes to a grand total of $934.
Well, Flynn, you won that one.
The sweet taste of victory.
Yeah, so far.
I couldn't pass it up. I seen it on there. I was looking at Twilight Princess stuff. I was gonna just do like the not for resale version or something to do the twist. Then I seen that on there, and I totally forgot it even existed.
All right, how much is the loose copy?
I think it's like $550.
Good Lord.
Yeah, you probably had a couple $1,000 sitting on your hands.
Right in the
Game
trash
Crazy.
can. Just
Coming
nobody
to work,
wanted
yeah.
them. Bye. Crazy.
even-
Moral of the story.
Can't remember
Hoard
how you
everything.
did it.
Everything.
Oh yeah, Don't
Nothing
do that,
goes in
'cause
the
that's-
trash.
that's
Just
how
bring
you
it
get
home.
to where I'm at.
Nope. All the cardboard, all the paper, all the inserts. Keep it all. Okay, go ahead, Flynn. You're going to do your list now.
All right. So I just picked 3 games. So short and sweet.
Sweet.
So we've got Metal Gear Solid for the Game Boy Color, loose.
I just saw a picture of that on your Twitter.
Yeah, that's what inspired this today.
Yeah. Gave yourself away. Okay, Metal Gear Solid Game Boy
snap.
Color. Did you do loose or
Spoilers.
complete? I missed.
Loose.
Okay.
Just loose. And next up is Parasite Eve for the PlayStation, complete in box. And last, we've got Threads of Fate for the PlayStation, also complete in box.
That's one I haven't looked up in a while.
Yeah, that's the one that's gonna get me.
Okay, so I have a number, and I think my guess is going to be $230. John, do you have a
Mine
number?
was 190.
190. Okay.
190.
All right. Again, not too far apart. Maybe Threads of
Yeah.
Fate is worth $700 now. I don't know.
Yeah.
You didn't throw that one away too, did you?
Ah,
All right. Do you want me to do the total first or individuals first?
do your individuals first and end with the total.
All right. So for Metal Gear Solid, it's $100.92.
Oh man.
For Parasite Eve, we've got $73.47.
Okay.
And lastly, for Threads of Fate, we've got $116.37 for a grand total of $290.76.
Woo! I promise I didn't cheat. Wow. Oh, I guess 130. Okay, well then I did cheat. I mean, like I didn't cheat. I'm just.
Oh,
I'm
you
a
guessed 230.
Yeah.
You were only $60 off. You did pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought I guessed 290, and then I looked back at my notes. I was too busy looking up Metal Gear Solid on the freaking Game Boy Color.
You meshed
Oh my
hours,
gosh.
'cause I said 190. I couldn't believe that one was that high either.
That, like, because usually Game Boy Color games are not, but wow.
Yeah.
Flabbergasted. And I have, so what was your guess, John?
190.
Oh,
You
so I
put our
beat you.
guesses
Okay.
Together.
Yes.
Yeah, you did.
All right. Okay. We're still okay. We're still good. We're still good. Except now we have like a 500 point deficit to make up from your Twilight Princess fiasco. Okay. So mine is Turrican themed. So good luck. So
Yeah.
Turrican for the TurboGrafx 16 complete in box. Turrican Flashback for the Nintendo Switch, physical, complete in box. Used copy, because that's like a brand new game. Mega Turrican for the Sega Genesis, complete in box. and Super Turrican 2 for the Super Nintendo, complete in box. Do 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 do. It's tricky to walk around, to rock around. I'm tired of singing. You guys have numbers yet?
I think I'm just gonna go with 425.
Okay.
Okay, I came in at 340.
All right. Okay. So we've got Turrican for the TurboGrafx 16, complete in box is $85. Turrican Flashback for the Nintendo Switch, used, complete in box, $31. Mega Turrican for the Sega Genesis, complete is $223. And Super Turrican 2 for the Super Nintendo, complete in box, $548.
Oh my.
That one even shocked me because I'm pretty sure
your own spicy.
I'm pretty sure I had that game too.
People out there.
Yeah. Yes. So we got a little trickier this time. We did not go easy on our guest, and for that I'm sorry.
You're fine. I'm just kind of like picking numbers out of the air.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Sometimes John throws these things out there and I'm like, is that even a game? What are you doing? Okay, so John, you in your magical spreadsheet have the victory
grand total.
The totals. Tell us what the numbers are, who the victor is.
You didn't give me your total of your game.
Oh,
you said how much.
Sorry. Our total is 883.
All right. So looks like Dan has a total difference of 704. I have a total difference of 558, and our guest has a total of 1162. So that makes me the winner, but not by like a whole lot. I think I beat you out by like $150.
Yeah, you cheated a little bit. I'm gonna give you that. You just a tiny little
$500 game.
What?
Said you had the weird $500 game.
Yeah, but I had an actual game, so.
Hey, it's on a cartridge. It goes in the DS accounts.
All right, it's on price charting, so I you know what? I can't argue with you. Wow. Okay. Well, yeah, that's how the game goes. And again, if you beat me, which you may have, because I did not know, I did not play that well. At me on Twitter at RetroLogic Games and tell me, and I will declare you the victor of the universe. That's how much power I have. Because I can do that.
Yes. I thought that was He-Man.
Him too. Him too. I might be He-Man. So we have a couple weekly topics we're going to jump right into since we're done doofing around here now on the podcast. First thing we have is this day in gaming history, and I'm probably going to take this one because I don't know if either of you have played this game, but I like it. 17 years ago today, on May 24th, 2004, for the Game Boy Advance, a little game called Mario vs. Donkey Kong dropped. And first of all, either of you played this one?
Nope.
Maybe. I don't know. As you're describing it, I might remember.
Okay. Well, if anybody's familiar with a little game called Donkey Kong 94, it kind of took the Donkey Kong formula of like Mario climbing a tower to get to Donkey Kong to save a princess. And it like took it beyond the 4 levels of Donkey Kong, and it made it into a whole puzzle game, and you did a bunch of other stuff. You travel around the world, and it was great. It was awesome. Probably one of the best Game Boy games to date. Go get it. It's very cheap, and you should own it. So Mario vs. Donkey Kong was kind of a continuation of that series. What it is Mario climbing, solving puzzles usually it's a 1 or 2 screen puzzle to get up to Donkey Kong to save a princess. And there's also like later you added the whole like robot minis thing that you program, and I don't think the minis were in the original. I think it was just Mario. What?
That's in the DS game.
That's right. Mario, like the March of the Minis or whatever, which is also a great game. It's a different type of puzzle game. But in this one, you're Mario doing various platforming to get across caverns and collect keys to open doors to go up ladders to save a princess from Donkey Kong. But it's just a super solid puzzle game take on the classic formula. It's not very expensive. I think it runs like $15, maybe $20, which is pretty cheap for a Game Boy Advance game. And I mean, honestly, for like a 1 or 2 screen puzzle game, it was pretty advanced at the time graphically. It had a lot of the like pre-rendered stuff that you would find on the Game Boy Advance to make it like look like faux 3D, but it was very pretty and it was just really well done. And I should have probably played it before I jumped on the podcast, because I get all the different variations of this game mixed up, and I'm trying to make sure that I get the right info out there.
It looked very similar. I was looking up the game before, just because I wasn't very familiar with it. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of very similar title names, and just like it looks like the gameplay is very similar across different ones. But
yeah,
I was really surprised how they adopted Rare's version of Donkey Kong to portray as like the villain, instead of like, because we usually think of Donkey Kong Country as like, oh yeah, he's like the protagonist of the story, right? So I thought it was interesting that they twisted him and have him being more the villain in this series. So
that's true.
I was intrigued. I was very intrigued by that.
Take over for Cranky Kong,
right? that would have been weird to have Cranky Kong up there, or like sometimes they'll throw like Donkey Kong Jr. in as a character, like in Mario Tennis or whatever. But I was a little beyond that. So yeah, I guess they just tried to use the familiar character to sell games, which totally worked on me because I was a Donkey Kong freak at that point.
Yes.
Still am.
Same.
But yeah,
a lot of heart.
Oh yeah, such a good game. Highly recommended. And now we're gonna move on. So in our old news section, we have a couple things to talk about. So Sega's financial presentation suggests reviving Jet Set Radio, Knights, Panzer Dragoon, and more. This gets me very excited because there are a ton of dead Sega franchises from the Dreamcast, and even back to the Sega Genesis that just don't exist, And so there's a whole slide here in their presentation about like, oh, here's some examples of active IP like Phantasy Star, Sonic, Total War, Football Manager. Football Manager is a game. Persona. And then they have the list is doubled of examples of past IP that are not active. And they say, kind of like I listed off, but I'll list some of them here. Crazy Taxi, Space Channel 5, Shinobi, Altered Beast, House of the Dead, Streets of Rage, which isn't Streets of Rage. Didn't they just come out with something?
Streets of Rage 4.
Yeah.
It wasn't done by Sega. I don't think it was handled by somebody else.
But don't they own the IP? Did they have to like license it?
Well, yeah, I'm sure, but they weren't the developers.
Okay. Well, anyway, that was weird that was on there. Maybe this was before that came out. I'm not sure. At any rate,
I can't remember what their names are, but they're the same ones that are doing the Ninja Turtle game that's coming out.
Oh yes, thank you for reminding me that exists. This just gets me. That's all the news part of it, but this just gets me really excited for just the possibilities. What would like a modern day Jet Grind Radio look like? That would be insane. If you had like an open city, like I hate to compare it to Grand Theft Auto, but like if you had something Grand Theft Auto like with like a whole radio station, because music is such an integral part of that game, like a whole radio station, open world, tagging stuff, that game was fairly open for its day, but even like taking that to the next level, it just boggles the mind. Do any of those titles potentially coming back excite you guys? Anything that you guys played that you'd like to see return?
Knights would be interesting. I know we just got the remake of Panzer Dragoon, but I think a new one would be very welcome.
Yeah, they might just be gauging interest. I mean, the remakes, they did a lot of upresing and a lot of work on them, but the remakes are definitely more of a cash cow, easy grab than like creating a whole new Panzer Dragoon game.
I think at one point in time, not too long ago, Sega kind of, in one of their little survey type deals where they reach out for information, they mentioned something about a Dreamcast style collection for modern consoles.
That's right.
Something that I don't think is ever, or at least we don't know about, it's come to fruition. But maybe sometime soon we'll get a Dreamcast type collection, because a lot of those games are, like you said, are only on Dreamcast, or got sequels later on Xbox that just kind of died there.
Yeah, I mean, for seemingly no reason, because they seem to sell well enough, to do well enough, and the Dreamcast. There's also the Dreamcast collection on the Xbox 360, which is 4 games. Just bring that to to my Switch
collection, right?
Exactly. Flynn, any experience with the Dreamcast or any of these franchises that you're a fan of?
So, don't throw stones at me. I have not really experienced much of the Sega side of the consoles. So I grew up as a Nintendo kid and just kind of transitioned to PlayStation and Xbox over time, and continuing with Nintendo, of course. But yeah, that's one of my goals this year, is actually to start getting some, probably starting with a Genesis, I think, because they're pretty easy to collect and buy right now, and then start to experience the Sega side of things. So, but yeah, I think having a new collection come out would be great for newcomers and people who want to experience something new.
Yeah, because the Dreamcast, you're right, the Sega Genesis is so affordable right now. So easy to get a system and a few games for like under $50. Like you could get like a whole collection. In contrast to that, buying a Dreamcast and the good games, you're going to spend $1,000. So it would be nice for them to bring some of that stuff back. Totes. But
I think she meant don't throw Power Stones at her.
No, that's one I'm not throwing away. I would keep that one. Awesome. Well, good. Let's hope and pray that this actually brings something to fruition, because the Dreamcast is one of my favorite consoles of all time, and seeing a sequel or a remake or anything from that era of Sega come back would just make me incredibly happy.
Dreamcast Mini.
Please, Lord. Man, I'd be so happy if
that
they
would be
did that.
so awesome.
That'd be so awesome.
Little bitty VMU.
Like, honestly, I just want an affordable way to play Skies of Arcadia. That's my bottom line. Just please. So next up on our news segment, if you have ever played any of the Time Splitters games, if you've ever played a little game called Haze on your PS3 or Xbox 360, then you know who Free Radical is. Free Radical Design. They created the Time Splitters series. They developed Haze, and then they kind of just disappeared. They went away. And ever since then, fans have just been begging for more Time Splitters. Like it was a revolutionary first-person shooter series. It was so well done, and it unfortunately the studio just disappeared after 2006. It just kind of
it was not the only good one on GameCube at the time.
Yeah, it was on 2006. It was 2007 or 8 after Haze came out and flopped. But anyway, so publisher Deep Silver has announced that they're reforming the Time Splitter studio with key original members, which makes me very excited. I really, really want to see a Time Splitters 4. I mean, I would take like a collection or whatever. They might just do that also, but a Time Splitters 4 would make me incredibly happy. These are basically most of the key guys who worked at Rare at the time, who worked on GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. And then for some reason they didn't do Perfect Dark Zero. I don't know why. That was a whole thing.
I think they'd be better off doing a new game, because like historically remakes of first person shooters don't go over great, like classic ones.
I hear you on that, but
when they redid GoldenEye, it did terrible. When they redid Perfect Dark again, it still didn't so well.
Right. So maybe it would have to be Time Splitters 4 then, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. It would, in order to make money, which is the main goal of these studios, they ought to make Time Splitters 4. Yes.
The Time Splitters collection would be an easy cash grab, though. I mean, even if they didn't change anything,
Yeah, if they just ported it. Yeah.
Whew. Man, I'd be so happy about that. We also have a couple game releases coming up. We've got the Capcom Arcade Stadium coming to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, which is already out on Switch, but it's coming to those consoles on Tuesday. So May 25th. You're probably listening to it on that day, so go do that. Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster coming to PS4, Switch, and PC, also on Tuesday, the May 25th. And then Limited Run has the Castlevania Collection still up. Pre-orders are still up, and you need to go get that. You need to go do it, because all of the different versions of the editions that they have look so cool. Pre-orders are open through June 27th. Flynn, this seems to be right up your alley after your bout with all the Castlevania games. Are you going to pick this one up?
I've been seriously considering it. Yeah, I have such a love for those games after playing them recently. So yeah, it'd be a nice addition.
Awesome. John, I know you're getting this.
It's already in the cart. I'm waiting though. Because there's 2 games coming out that you don't have on the list from Limited Run for the Switch, and that's the 2 Double Dragon games.
Oh, are those up for pre-order still?
They're not open yet, but they will be later next month.
Oh, I think that's why I don't have it on here, because this is all.
Still have that. Yeah, you still have that time frame window where if you put everything in your cart and order it at once, you only have to pay the shipping price of the, it combines.
Oh, good deal.
It does help.
Get that crossover.
Yep.
Awesome. And then finally, Limited Run has pre-orders open for Mega Man The Wily Wars Sega Genesis cartridge. What? Pre-orders are open now through June 20th, and there's a whole bunch of awesome bundles with this one, and I'm even seriously considering it. It's whenever they do like the actual cartridge that works in your vintage system, that gets my attention.
That's
I
so
think they
cool.
only have the one left. I think everything else already sold and went on.
Just the one bundle left?
I think they only have the one bundle left. It still comes with the cartridge and everything.
Yeah.
But I think the mega bundle that they had that was I think it was only limited to 4,000 copies. I think it's already gone.
Okay. Well, that's all I want. I just want the cartridge. So I'd be happy with that. Well, that's all of the old news we have for today. We're going to take a little break. And when we come back, we are going to chat Twilight Princess with Flynn. We are going to talk about our Retro Rewind game, which our community, live community discussion is this week. So stay tuned for that. We will see you in just a second. Welcome back from that break. I hope that you had a good break. And I'm glad you're back, but now you're refreshed and you're ready to listen to us talk even more about video games. And we've got a bit of a special segment this time. Today, we're going to have a game highlight. We're going to talk about Twilight Princess. Across all versions, we're going to just chat about the game itself and what we love about it, what we maybe would change about it if they did the HD Zelda collection for Switch, which probably will never happen. Sorry to disappoint everyone about that. It's just, it is what it is. And so Flynn, this is actually one of your favorite games of all time. I know this because we're friends and also because you told me explicitly.
There is no question. No question.
Yeah, it's literally in your Twitter profile picture. That's your game. So Twilight Princess launched on the Wii in North America on November 19th, 2006. And on the GameCube, December 11th, 2006, which is crazy because it was basically a GameCube game ported over to the Wii, but they had to sell those Wiis, didn't they? This is a whole Breath of the Wild situation where they needed to sell Wiis, and they needed it to sell to Nintendo fans and to casual. So they had your Wii Sports and they had your Zelda, and everybody bought one. And so Flynn, where did you first play your Twilight Princess? And when did you pick it up? Tell me about like your first experience with it.
So this is a game that actually helped me through a healing period of my life. So I had torn my ACL of all things, and I had to have reconstructive surgery on my leg. And Zelda Twilight Princess kept me company while I was like stuck on the couch for weeks on end.
Man.
So I didn't play it near release date. It was probably closer to like 2010-ish, somewhere in there. And this was actually my first real Zelda game. I didn't grow up with Zelda, the series. So this was my first foray into the Zelda universe and kind of experiencing what it's all about.
I actually didn't grow up with Zelda either. Ocarina of Time was my first, and then I was like, oh, there's more of these?
So many.
Yeah. Well, good. And then John, you've never played Twilight Princess. What's the deal,
Not
man?
to the full extent. I've played the first 15 or 20 minutes or so. And
That's like literally the worst part of the game.
I know. That's what I keep hearing. Like you got to play for like at least 5 hours to get into anything.
That's not okay. Well, that's not true, but whatever.
And I corralled the goats. Okay, it's all about goats at the beginning of the game. There.
Yeah, it also about go to the end of the game, but no spoilers. So, I was in line outside of a Walmart on November 19th, 2006, November 18th, 2006 for all day. And I was like 10th in line or something. Got my Wii. They had no copies of Twilight Princess. And that's all I wanted. I didn't want Excite Truck. I didn't want any of that. I wanted Zelda. That's what I wanted. What'd you say?
I did a little Price is Right when they guess wrong.
What?
We don't have that sound right. The sound whenever they play whenever you guess the wrong.
Oh, bwah, 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 bwah.
Yeah. That's what it was like whenever they don't
We're
have
like,
no
wah,
Twilight
wah.
Princess.
So my brother, I call my brother. My brother's an EB Games manager. I call my brother. He's at this store. It's crazy because everybody's getting their Wiis. And I'm like, Adam, please get me a copy of Zelda. And he's like, oh, Dan. I'm like, no, please just do whatever you got to do. You got to get me a copy of Zelda. He's like, okay, I'll get you Zelda, but you have to buy a player's guide with it. You have to buy the expensive special edition player's guide because I have to make my like accessory bundle numbers or whatever, right? So I was like, okay, fine. So I like spent my rent money because I was not planning on buying a $40 strategy guide with this. They had that giant like hardbound thick book Twilight Princess strategy guide, which I kept sealed for so long. But so then I'm like, okay, I'm coming right now. So I drive over to his store as fast as I can. And he's got it for me. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how he did it. I don't know if he had to like kill somebody or what, but nobody could find that game. So I got my copy of Zelda. And this was a Saturday night. And at the time I was working at a church. And so Sunday's a big deal. Right. You work at a church, Sunday's a big deal. So I stayed up all night and was absolutely useless the next day just for Twilight Princess. So this game is very special to me, and yeah, to say the least. Do you guys remember the E3 presentation with Reggie? I think it was 2004. The E3 presentation where he comes out and he does his whole like, I'm about kicking ass and taking names and we're about making games. Are you guys familiar with that presentation?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was where we first got our glimpse of Twilight Princess. And it was just totally, it was everything that Wind Waker wasn't. And at the time, Wind Waker was panned pretty much by fans because of its art style. Wind Waker is my personal favorite Zelda game. But yeah, at the time, it just, everybody, we wanted Ocarina of Time 2, and we got something totally different. So Twilight Princess appeared to be like a make good to all the fans in that trailer. And just the hype for that game could never be understated. It was so heavily hyped. And then, so it was hyped up. It came out. We're playing the game. Flynn playing Twilight Princess for the first time. So this was your first Zelda game, right?
I would consider it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I briefly played Wind Waker, but I was the wrong age to play it, and the art style turned me off. So I barely touched it.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, yes, this was my true first Zelda.
Wind Waker was a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people, and I don't blame them. I mean, coming off of Ocarina of Time, it's a totally different animal.
It definitely was Majora's Mask.
Yeah, especially coming off of Majora's Mask, which is like the darkest Zelda, and then you're like, da 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 da, and you're like, funny sunny oceanness. Anyway, so your first impressions of Twilight Princess jumping into the game, like what had you played that was like it before, and what were your initial impressions of it, if you can remember?
Well, as far as initial impressions go, I really enjoyed the storytelling elements of the game. It sets you up off the bat with a lot of interactions in the village and getting to know the people and starting to care about them before they're snatched away. And then you're like, okay, I've got to go save the world now.
Mm-hmm.
So I just the whole story, and I just appreciate all the emotions that went into that game. Like, it definitely took you for a ride from start to finish in terms of like what you felt through the game. So
some twists
that was great.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely. And some of the characters had some just good arcs in general with a lot of character development. So it's kind of fun to see NPCs not just be like one static character. You know what I mean? So we had some changes and things throughout the game, which I thought was pretty refreshing. The music was fantastic in the game. This is a soundtrack that I still listen to pretty regularly. So yeah, good with me and games. Like, if there's a good soundtrack, like, I'm in, like, I am there for it. So that was another piece of the game that I really enjoyed. And I would say too, just like the darker atmospheres of the game. There's some places that are very like, I don't know if unsettling is the right word for it, but
Very
like when you're in the
much.
twilight and things. Yeah. So it just, those feelings that it elicits and the visuals that go along with it. I thought that was really neat for the time.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I want to talk about, which is just the feeling of Twilight Princess, which is so just eerie, you know, and like you never really feel like safe anywhere. Like, there's not a ton of places where, except for like when you're in the town and then you leave the town and like almost immediately now you're a wolf, and now you are just in this Twilight realm, and everything is backwards, and very much like a Majora's Mask to Wind Waker's Ocarina. It's very much the darker game, and you feel that throughout the entire game. It kind of propelled me forward because you want to like move through it, like I don't want to like stay in Twilight Land for too long, right? So I want to get through that, and I want to be Link again, and I want to get on my horseback, and I want to fight stuff. Which I remember having my first experience in Ocarina of Time on horseback with the Wii remote, shooting arrows, and was just like, oh gosh, like they nailed the feeling of this. Like it's that first segment where you're on the horse and there's bokoblins like following you on their horses, and you kind of just have to like make like, you're like, okay, like how do we drive a horse and fight at the same time? And you make it work. They just totally nailed it. And that feeling made you feel like, okay, like, yes, it's eerie, but I'm powerful in this world. So they did a really good job with that kind of balance, I feel like.
I just liked how you said driving the horse.
Aha.
Yeah, driving the
I don't know why. It
Well,
just,
but, yeah,
it just
you know,
struck me
video
funny.
games, you drive the horse.
I know, right? Put on some good tunes in the background, go for a cruise. It's a good
basically
time.
a car on feet, hooves.
Car on feet.
Car on feet.
Nailed
yes.
it.
I
Awesome.
did want to talk about controls a little bit while we're talking about like horseback riding and stuff. So I played on the GameCube.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't experienced the controls with the Wii. Like, how did you like it overall?
that's all I knew. I mean, it's kind of like, I'm sure if you talk about the GameCube version, you're like, yeah, that's just all I knew. The only comparison that I have is because I never played the GameCube version. The only comparison I have is later playing it on the Wii U, which they adapted the GameCube map, which was flipped in the Wii version, and the GameCube controls. And it's just so hard to like even imagine that game without like either some sort of motion control or pointer control for shooting arrows. And like, obviously you can do that because Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker didn't have motion controls, but specifically the way that Twilight Princess plays, it just feels like they really did a good job designing it for that. One of the things that I could do without was the waggle to swipe your sword, because they basically totally replace the B button with the wiggle. So anytime you want to swipe your sword, you wiggle your controller every single time. So it gets really old really fast because you swing your sword a lot. So I'm not a huge fan of that. And it's not like Skyward Sword where they actually like designed swordplay around a Wii remote. They were just like, no, just shake it around and you know what I mean? It's fine. So that part of it I could do without, but pointer controls and arrows are like bread and butter. They're like peanut butter and jelly. That's what I meant. Bread and butter is a totally different analogy, but you know what I meant. So, yeah. So with the GameCube, what was that like? If you can even make a comparison, because you haven't played anything with the motion controls.
The closest I've gotten was playing some Skyward Sword. I still need to go back and finish that one. It was one of those times where I think I was fighting the octopus boss. Does that ring a bell? I don't remember what the octopus's name was.
Like a pirate ship.
Yeah. So I was there and I was like at the boss fight, and then I stepped away from the game for so long and I came back and I'm like, I don't remember the controls well enough to like defeat the boss. So yeah, it was one of those times. But
that's such a different Zelda game too. It's not like any of the other Zelda games are going to help you with Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
And you're about to get another chance to play it in HD. So.
Mm-hmm. So anyways, what was my point? I think my point was having like Skyward Sword motion controls compared to the GameCube experience with Twilight Princess. I thought the controls handled really well overall. It was just like a nice, pleasant experience overall, like pretty easy to do.
Yeah, cool. It was designed for that. So I would imagine it's pretty easy. Yeah. One of the things that I was really impressed with in Twilight with the motion controls, because you have less buttons than the GameCube controller, so they had to make it work somehow, was the kind of selecting items in like a selection wheel. Did they have that in the GameCube as well, or was that a Wii only thing? There's like a wheel that pops up and you select the item.
Honestly, it's been a minute since I've played it. I can't remember.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know if that was in the GameCube version, but I just feel like that was really well implemented. Since they had the limited controller buttons, they sort of made it work for them.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, controls were controls.
Controls were controls.
And so have you since played other 3D Zelda games, like not even to completion, but just like enough to be able to have a good impression of them?
So I have quite a few Zeldas that I need to go back and play. So I am not robust in the world of Zelda, unfortunately. But like I mentioned, I've played some Skyward Sword. I've played some Breath of the Wild.
Do you have any like fast facts that you got from your research?
There was one wild one where they thought about having a time warp where Link goes into the future, so you could use the Wii trigger and he would be shooting a gun. But they like quickly nixed that idea.
All right.
I thought that was pretty entertaining.
That's good.
What was the deal behind the map being inverted for the Wii version?
He's left-handed. So if you're... Or wait, did I get that backwards? No, it's because you're swinging the Wiimote with your right hand.
Mm-hmm.
So they thought it wouldn't feel right because he's left-handed. So they switched it. And
So,
it was easier
yeah.
to flip the whole game than it was to go back and like change everything. So it was more like a speed to market type of a play.
I did not know that.
They literally
I
mirrored
would
the
have
entire
played-
map.
Yep.
I would have played it with my left hand swinging anyway, because I'm left-handed.
I think you could switch it in the menu.
Well, I mean, there's no other than you just changing the hand that you hold your Wiimote with.
Well,
It doesn't
sure.
matter.
But it would feel a little weird to be swinging your sword in your left hand and then your right-handed character is doing it with the wrong hand. Because there's like shield actions you do with the other hand too. So they just try to make it like coherent in that way. But I think you could go in the Twilight Princess menu in the Wii and switch it back if you wanted to play that way. I might be totally wrong about that, but I think that was a thing.
I can't say for the Twilight Princess, but I think for Skyward Sword you could, if I remember right.
Oh, that's interesting. I guess that makes more sense because there's like a 1-to-1 action going on.
Yeah, because I played Skyward Sword, the majority of it. I just still haven't finished that either. But I definitely know I played left-handed.
Crazy. Learning so much tonight. So we can start to close out our Twilight Princess chat with just like a little bit of a spoilery conversation about like just some of your favorite moments from the game. Yeah. What comes to mind there, Flynn, for you?
Probably mostly like the dramatic scenes with Midna. There's one scene where you need to help Midna. She's in dire straits and you're running across Hyrule Field as a wolf and there's this beautiful piano music going on. It's a very emotional moment. That one definitely stands out. And the other one is pretty spoilery too, but at the end...
We're in spoiler zone now.
At the end, there's like the reveal of Midna and kind of her choices that she makes at the end of the story are very touching. And Midna in particular, like she was such a fun companion. Like she's sassy, she's smart, she has a change of heart partway through the game. So like she's got a lot of character development in herself and she's just a delight. So Midna really, I think, makes the game that much more special just because of her character.
She is such a well-written sort of dichotomy because when you meet her and she's like the sassy fairy character and you're like, oh, okay, this is my Navi. Great. You know, like, and she's like almost downright like mean to you for a while there. And then, but you're right. Sassy's like the perfect word for it. Cause it's not like, you know, she's not like going to hurt you, but it's just like, she's just like not super friendly. She's really just like putting you down.
She has a motivation.
Yeah.
She's using you for her motivation. You don't know what it is yet, but you kind of got to go with it.
Exactly.
So,
and then the dichotomy of that mixed with like when she has those serious moments, you're like, oh, like, okay, Midna's like real now. Which is she's so well written and she's such a good character. Do you remember your favorite dungeon in the game?
Oh, that's a good question.
I gotta go Snow Peak every time.
Yeah, Snow Peak. Snow Peak is good.
Oh, it's such a classic.
Yeah, you get to snowboard, which is pretty awesome in and of itself. And then you've got the interesting like character twist that goes on. I won't give any spoilers, but that one definitely shocked me the first time I played through. I'm like, whoa, excuse me, like what just happened here?
Well, also everything else in the game up to that point kind of stays in this sort of like the like biome of the map, right? Like you've got your fire dungeon cave and you've got your waterfall, which is like connected to Hyrule Castle. And then you have to go down this totally other path and up this mountain to like get to something that's totally disconnected from the rest of the map. Like it almost feels like an add-on, right? But it ends up being this mansion full of puzzles. And that's where you get the giant ball and chain, I think. I believe
I think that sounds right.
Because that's where you have to do a lot of smashing. Which is so satisfying. And you're right about the characters in there too. So Snow Peak for sure stands out to me. And
one that comes to my mind, if I can jump in.
Please.
I'm going to jump. Speaking of jumping. So we're going to jump up into the sky. And I can't remember the name of the dungeon. It's like is it Uko? Ukus?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, the crazy bird. The crazy bird creatures in the dungeons.
Yeah, they're
it's like
weird.
Uku.
Not a fan.
They're very weird.
Mm-hmm.
They have their own place up in the sky, and you get to use the double claw shot to like fly around the dungeon.
The double claw shot is such a good reason to play this game. It's so good.
And it just feels so cool to be like flying around and just making it through these places that seem impossible to be able to go through. So I thought that was pretty satisfying.
Man, I forgot. That's another example of like, we're going to leave Hyrule now and go to like Dungeon in the Sky.
Right.
So cool. Well, I hate to leave Hyrule, but we do have to move on a little bit. And I hope that if you haven't played this game, John included, that you do it. You do it soon. And you just, man, it's just such a good game. Like if John, Majora's Mask is your favorite Zelda game, and you owe it to yourself to play the other Majora's Mask.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I have a copy of the HD remake, and I want to play it, but I know as soon as I go to hop into it and I get my Wii U out, fired up and everything, they're going to put it on the Switch.
Well, then do it. Do that so that Nintendo
help all of us.
Come on, man. What are you waiting for?
I know Jesse over at the Nintendo Dads has been saying the same thing, so we're kind of like standing off to see who's the first person to fire it up on the Wii U.
You need to take a vacation just to play Twilight Princess. Got to.
You deserve it.
You do. You've earned it. Awesome. Well, good. Let's do a little bit of community content before we get to know our guest a little bit more, before we leave. We say goodbye. Ta-ta for now. So really all we're going to do is remind you guys that we have our live community podcast recording this week, Wednesday night, May 26th at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're playing Joe and Mac 2, so if you haven't jumped in yet, there's still time. It's not a long game, and you don't have to have finished the game to be part of the chat. All you have to do is have an opinion. And I know you have an opinion. So registration is open in either my Discord in the Retro Rewind channel, or in the Nintendo Dads Discord under the RetroLogic channel. So if that's confusing, I'm sorry. I'm happy to answer any questions on Twitter. And so Flynn, we wanted to just take a little bit of time at the end here just to kind of like get to know you and your content and who you are, and maybe give you a little plug so you can get some more followers, I guess. So we met on Twitter, and I was immediately just drawn to what you have going on with all the plant stuff. You're an amateur botanist.
So I am a horticulturist by training, actually. So I used to work in the professional space. You're fine. I don't really talk about it that often, but I used to be a plant scientist. So got a lot of love for plants. I do a lot of gardening, enjoy flowers and vegetables and everything about in between. So it's kind of a part of what's important to me. And I kind of dovetailed that hobby in with gaming. So that's where Flynn was born.
And it's super unique. And you also are just a force of positivity on Twitter, which is rare these days.
It can be.
Yeah. And you stream retro, which is how I originally found you. So the reason why you were streaming retro, I think, is kind of funny. So why did you start streaming retro as opposed to like, any old PS4 game?
So funny you should ask that. So I live out in the countryside, and until a couple weeks ago, I had internet from the 90s. So the highest bit rate I could stream was about 225. And that doesn't handle very many games. So I was basically restricted to 8 and 16-bit games. any more bits than that, and my internet was like, no, time out. Like we can't do that. We can't do that. And then it would turn into like a slideshow, and nobody wants to watch a slideshow. But honestly, it worked out really well because I enjoy retro gaming anyways. And it just kind of was a nice push to go back and play games that I missed out on in my childhood. And like Castlevania is a great example of that. I didn't grow up with those and then just kind of got into them and had a lot of fun along the way. So yeah, overall, it's been great. And recently I was able to get an internet upgrade. So now I'm like, whoa, I can do all these cool things now. So I'm very excited to see kind of where the future goes.
Awesome. And that's how I found you. And then just, I came for the retro games. Then I stayed for the kind of just cool community that you're a part of. So I guess the question is like, what keeps you going? What keeps you going in that realm of like just keeping a positive community around you and staying positive on Twitter and offering sort of like, I don't want to say like safety, but like just kind of like a chill, like place. I'm kind of fumbling over my words here, but I think you get where I'm going with this. Yeah. Like what keeps you going in that direction?
Yeah. So I have a lot of fun on Twitter. I like, as you probably know, I make a lot of stupid jokes. Every morning I try to do some kind of a gaming inspired, like good morning type tweet. And it's usually some bad joke.
It's so good.
So it's just fun to have like this little creative moments. And just trying, I don't know, there's enough negativity in the world, and I'm not about that at all. So if I can offer words of encouragement or just like attaboys, you know what I mean? Like, hey, you're doing a really good job. Like lift that up. I believe in lifting people up, not tearing people down. So that's just kind of who I am as a person. So I don't really think about it too much. That's just kind of how I interact in those places. And I started streaming on Twitch. It's almost been a year. So during plague times last year, just being kind of a lonely stay-at-home mom, I was like, you know what? Dang it. Like I've been wanting to stream for ages. I didn't think I could do it because my internet was so bad. But I'm like, I'm going to give it a good effort and we'll see where it takes me. So I was able to cobble together something, not always watchable, but it was something. And just had fun hanging out and meeting other gamers. I don't have a lot of in real life friends that are into gaming. So I don't have a lot of people to talk to and just share that passion with. So that was mostly why I am on Twitter way too much. And it's nice on Twitch just to be able to have that real-time interaction with people and just hang out and have a good time. So that's the way I look at it, is just meeting cool people and just hanging out, more or less.
Awesome. I love that. I love it. You are so fun to hang out with. So I really appreciate what you got going on.
Thank you.
Yeah. And if you're within earshot of my voice, then you should go follow Fernley Flynn on Twitter. That's your handle, right?
Yep.
And on
Fernley
Twitch.
Flynn.
And all the things.
Yep.
If you want to hang out and have a good time, because she's awesome. And that's our show, guys. John, did we miss anything? My friend, my admin, my spreadsheet guy?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything we planned on.
Okay. Do you have any words of wisdom that you want to share? As I give you that question point blank with no prep. Always buy broken PS2s. No, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. You'll have a stack of stuff like I do.
Unless you know how to solder, of course. All right. Well, that will do it for our show this week, everyone. Thank you so much for listening, for hanging out, and for chatting, and for joining us with Flynn and John. And thanks for listening to the RetroLogic podcast. We are proudly part of the Nintendo Dads family of podcasts. If you like what you hear, you can check me out on Twitter and Instagram at RetroLogic Games. You're also more than welcome to jump into our friendly and 100% non-toxic Discord community. Link to that is in my Twitter bio. And you can find all the RetroLogic things. The website is retrologic.games. You can find it all there. We've got our Discord links and our Twitter stuff and merch. There's merch there now, which I'm so excited about, obviously, because I can't stop talking about it. But for whatever it's worth, thanks for listening, and I really appreciate you guys. So catch y'all next week. Anybody have to go pee?
I'm doing all right.
On here. We're
Sometimes
good.
we have to go pee. All right. Yeah.
Such is life.
When my brother was on, he didn't wait for the break. He like left during a conversation, and John and I were like, "Where did he go?" Okay, let's just keep rolling, I guess.
When nature calls, right?
So now it's an inside joke. Awesome.
All right, so I'll make sure once you get it up and running again, then I'll make sure I exit. Gotcha.
Swiftly, especially during the Twilight Princess talk, because you don't have much to say about this. So
no,
we won't ever let him live it down.
No, we give him a hard time about it now, so as often as we can.
As you should.